What's up, everybody? Welcome in. Jump to Start Racing podcast. My name is Wellington. I'm here with two of my closest friends. Yancy, hello.
Hi. I want to, before we start.
Can I say hi too?
No. Before we start, though. Just want everybody to bow their heads down, to have a moment of silence for Total Wolf's headphones.
Mine's are still intact.
Goodbye, headphones.
It's a great weekend until tragedy struck.
Ruben, how you feeling today?
What's going on, guys?
Man, on today's episode, we'll be talking about the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix and everything to do.
I'm back.
You're back. Oh yeah, you're back. Don't clap for yourself.
Yo, he's like, but when are you gonna mention me, dude? Yeah, you're on the low end of the totem pole, bro. You leave
Somebody
1 week,
found me,
forget
though.
about
It
it.
was
Bro.
such a crazy race that we forgot about you. Captain.
Somebody found me though.
So who called 1-800-JUMP to start?
I have no idea. Somebody found me.
Somebody saw you in a milk carton in Saudi Arabia.
Called you.
There's no alcohol, so we're drinking milk.
I was really trying not to pick up that phone call, but I had to.
Sorry, was.
It messed up his whole flow, bro.
Every day. So, guys, we'll be talking today about the, I guess now legendary Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, the results, everything that led up to it, just our analysis.
Thank you, Saudi Arabia.
Thank you. We'll also be previewing the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the final race of the season, the championship round at this point now. But before we get into that, I want to make sure to mention that we are on Twitter and Instagram at Jump to Start F1 on both. Make sure to follow us, not subscribe on Instagram and Twitter, but follow us. Drop a tweet, mention, give us a comment, like a post, whatever. We are on many podcast platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart Radio, TuneIn, Stitcher, among many others. We're also on YouTube. Hello, Jump to Start Racing podcast. You can see us waving at you. Subscribe, like, follow, comment.
Does the thumb look like the thumb on
The like button. I
like
think the
button.
fist is the other way. No, I don't know.
this way?
Yeah. There you go.
All right.
Let's not.
It's been a great season so far, man.
dude.
Hell yeah.
Let's not dilly dally any further. Ruben, hit the drop.
Gentlemen, a short view back to the past.
I don't know yet. I got one shot.
Dude.
All I know is one mic. I know. I gotta repeat it.
I think the whole week you're gonna be practicing.
I'm gonna be practicing in the mirror, mom spaghetti.
It's gonna
you
be
know how it is.
the finale, bro. You gotta do it.
It was gonna be like all I need is one mic.
All right. So
Gotta eat through it.
the race, before getting to the race, the Jeddah track, there was a lot of controversy as far as would it be ready, would it not be ready, what would it feel like to the drivers, what would the track itself race like. What did you guys think as far as the on-track, the delivery of the circuit itself? Like what did you guys feel as far as how fast it was, how closed in it was with the walls? Did you feel like it delivered? Did you feel like, I don't know how or what to exactly ask here. But what were your thoughts on the track?
I thought visually the track was beautiful, especially at night. The lights, they had all the, the LED lights and the lagoon and the fireworks and just the way the overhead helicopter shot with the track lit
That was
up.
beautiful.
It looked amazing. The cars going around it looked beautiful. The cars going that fast. This is one of the few tracks where usually when you watch an F1 race or an F1 session, you can't really comprehend how fast these cars are going. You can't really tell. With the shots that they had here and I guess the camera angles, you can feel that these cars were just going balls to the wall. And it felt amazing. I absolutely loved it. There were problems with it though. But I think it adds to the challenge of the track. There's a lot of blind corners, so you can't really tell what's going on, which could be very dangerous when a car is going slow. We saw that in qualifying. When a car's going slow and a car's doing his push lap, if the team doesn't tell you to get out of the way, you're gonna run into some issues. Hamilton ran into some issues, I think, at the end of one of his push laps, where he ran into a ton of traffic. I don't know if that was in practice or in qualifying. I think it was in practice.
I think Max as well.
Yeah, I mean, it could be very dangerous, and a lot of the drivers had some criticisms about that. As far as the racing is concerned, we can get to that later, but there were so many things that happened that I don't think you can really judge the quality of the track as far as the racing. But as far as being a spectacle, the podium was crazy, like a big LED screen. Just the looks of it looked like, yeah, I want to go there one day. It was built as a spectacle, and it delivered on that as far as how the cars looked, and things like that. I loved it. I would like to see, obviously there's a lot of kinks to work out. It's the first year. I would like to see how they can improve on that going forward.
What did you think, Ruben?
No, I agree with what Yancy said. It's just it's an amazing track as far as because it's so close in. So the cameras, I guess, are closer to the car, you could say, because there's not really that many runoffs. So when these cars were flying, especially those angles they were getting in some of those little tight corners with quick left and right thing,
and the sparks coming through the car,
and they were going pretty much all out. Like some of these turns they were not even lifting to go through them. So I think, like Yancy was saying, a couple of minor tweaks here and there for the actual track itself, and it's going to be a track that is going to just compete with all of them. As far as the guys want to go, they all the drivers love racing on it.
Yeah.
But maybe they were by themselves in the track, they'll enjoy it more. So we have to make it where in actual competition, you enjoy it to the max. So just looking at the track and me playing the F1 game, I'm probably one of the worst players on it. I could just imagine, if me playing the F1 game on a regular track, I feel like super tense. Because normally when you're playing this game and stuff like that, and you're going through a bunch of turns, you are tense. So you wait for for the straight to maybe loosen up on your fingers and stuff like that. So I pretty much told the same thing about the drivers. At what part of the track do they get to loosen up a little before they tense up again? And this whole track
that's
was
the thing. I don't think there really is.
That's what I'm saying. This track was all out all the time. That I would say maybe the finish start line, but it's still so fast that you cannot do much.
Yeah.
So you need a couple of minor tweaks for the track to be at that level that we wanted to. Thank God it was a night race, because since the track was not finished, all the hospitality was not done on time and stuff like that. But hey, they did a good job hiding it, because I didn't see much of it on the TV screen.
Yeah.
I like the drone show that they did too. Like I think that.
Yeah, that was nice. They had
they went all out.
They did go all out.
They had a drone show of the track at the end where it looked very cool.
And the fireworks went so much past the race that when these guys were doing the interview, they
you
had
can hear it, in the post race show.
So they went, they put up a show, and hey, we enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
We were laughing earlier before the race, before race weekend. There was during on Friday, there was a guy on Reddit that he had tickets to the race, managed to find his way into the paddock because there was no security there, because if you commit a crime over there, they chop your arm off.
Good.
So this guy was just he was complaining about everything. Meanwhile, he's standing in the paddock 5 feet away from the drivers and the cars, and it's
without paying for it.
Yeah, without paying for it. What are you talking about?
Why are you complaining you're in the paddock? What does it matter?
But there was some issues out there. There's plumbing.
He should have gone to the Alpine bathroom too.
Yeah, there's plumbing issues that Ruben's alluding to. There's all kinds of just stuff that when you open a facility, that's just the type of stuff that happens, and
especially when you don't do test runs on it.
And exactly. So I remember back in the day, we opened the company I work for. We opened a facility here in New York City. We had to do all kinds of shut down the power to make sure the generators work. Everybody go flush a toilet at once to make sure that if there's a lot of fans in place, that the water drains properly. I don't think that type of stuff
was done.
No. And it didn't reveal all the potential kinks. And there's probably a lot more stuff that happened that we haven't heard about. But overall, on TV, it looked like it was pretty good.
So you mean to tell me Saudi Arabia does not have a Department of Buildings? That's going to be on top of all of that to make sure everything.
But I mean,
I think the biggest, pretty much you could say, show in the world is coming to your city in that weekend, and your Department of Buildings can't catch that when you don't have no time because you did a track right now where there was nothing and you did it in 9 months?
So
Thank
let
God
me,
they
so let me, so let, I'll just put this into perspective. This is the second longest track on the F1 calendar this year.
As far as distance, you mean?
It was, yeah, as far as distance. It's long. You can see it on the track. I mean, you can see it on TV. It's long. It's a, you know.
That's what she said.
1 year ago, they announced it.
Yes.
I think it took them like 2 or 3 months to start working on it. So we're talking about maybe 9-8 months
That's what they did in 9 months.
to
design
build
it.
to design it and build this entire facility to hold an F1 Grand Prix, which we know the standards are. You know, it's not an easy feat to do because they have to worry about a lot of different things: safety, electrical, transponder. I mean, it gets super difficult if you want to go into the nitty gritty of it. For them to pull it off in that record time, it's impressive. So, kudos to them because it looked good on TV. Obviously, we're all talking about the race and all the events that happened this weekend. So I think overall it was a success.
Could you imagine how big the budget was blown just for having people working like 24 hours a day?
I don't care. I'm sure, not that I don't care. I'm
They
sure
don't.
they don't care about
Yeah.
the budget.
There you
remember,
are. Make sure you
it's-
finish.
That- now
And what's crazy about this is that, for example, I think they have a 10-year deal. They're only gonna. I think the plan is, and I don't know how things might change,
El
but
plan. El plan.
el plan is to race here for the next 2 years, and then they're gonna build a dedicated circuit after that. I think that's the original plan. I don't know if they're gonna stick to it,
Gotcha.
but I guess we'll see how everything pans out the next 2 years as far as on the Jeddah Corniche.
So similar to what the deal in Qatar, whatever.
Yeah, pretty much. Even though, and we're not going back to
Next year,
LaSalle,
no.
no. Well, not next year, but even like the when we go
Nope.
back the year afterwards, it's gonna be a new circuit.
Yeah, remember Saudi Arabia's towards the front of the calendar next year.
It'll be in
they'll-
March.
They'll be back there in a couple of
I
weeks
think
or
it's
a
the
couple of months.
second race of the season.
After I know it's after Bahrain.
Well,
So-
Bahrain's the first.
No, there you go.
So, one thing of note, before even the race, before Lewis Hamilton, prior to the race weekend, condemns Saudi Arabia terrifying LGBTQ plus laws ahead of the race and says it's not my choice to be here, which is kind of crazy to even hear that. I wonder if he would have even raced there had it not, like if he had already won the championship, would he have just been like, all right, I'll see you guys next race after this one? Who knows? Probably not.
Nah, he's a professional. And he did say after the race that honestly he was treated well there. Everybody was nice to him. But yeah, I mean, but he has enough clout to say things like that, anyways.
Clout chases.
I was gonna say they also criticized Ricardo for like I don't even watch the news, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. Qualifying. It finished Ham bought us Verstappen. It was very boring, right, guys?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because of a qualifying lap on a track like this where I don't know what the average speed is here, but it's quick. I mean, I think they get up to like 203 miles an hour on that long straight right at the end before the last turn. I think it was turn 27. Before that qualifying session, as I was watching them go through that turn to that last turn going onto the main straight, and I see them, you know, almost kissing that last wall before they go going on there, and I'm like, this reminds me of the Wall of Champions in Canada, right? And you have something similar happened, and I think Seb tagged the wall in Singapore, but it obviously is not as quick. So obviously in the Wall of Champions, you know, you come off that hairpin, there's a long straight, you're going, you know, probably the fastest on that track, then you got a quick chicane. You're worrying about hitting the wall. I call it the Wall of Champions because even world champions have crashed into that wall.
I have.
Yeah. So I'm seeing, yeah, and you will definitely, yeah.
Definitely a champion.
Definitely a
in
champion.
some ways.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I said this, I'm like, this looks like a Wall of Champions situation. And then obviously, I think it was Lewis that said in the press conference afterwards, like, where every wall here is a wall of champions, which obviously makes sense. The second thought I had with this, I'm like, when I saw the cars running at night and how fast they're going, I'm like, I think Lewis Hamilton is gonna put in one of those magical Singapore lap. That
Singapore 2018.
2018. I think Lewis Hamilton was gonna do that, but I was wrong, because the one that actually almost pulled it off, almost pulled it off when he needed to, was Max Verstappen.
Hit the drop. Bwah, bwah.
Yeah,
Because he crashed.
that
That's not Wellington.
the lap that Lewis put in was great,
was
and obviously, and we knew that the Mercs were going to be fast on this track anyways. We didn't know how the Red Bulls were going to perform, but the lap that Max
was on.
in Q3, and I think this is probably the only point that the only highlight of qualifying, aside from the traffic issues that they were having. That lap was amazing. And the fact that he tagged that wall right after turn 27, I think we were all upset and disappointed, because we knew that we were watching something special at that point. What do you think?
No, he was definitely pushing big time. When you got like a guy like Alonso acknowledging, like, he's definitely pushing it. He's definitely going, over the limit on everything.
They all watched it, right?
Yeah, because
Ricardo and Alonso.
Ricardo and Alonso were getting into it at the same time.
Yeah, they were in the media pen.
Yeah, in the media pen, and the guy telling, "Oh, yeah, so let's talk about question." We throw one eye, and you see Alonso's eye, like, "Okay, we throw."
Yeah,
like,
and the reactions, you can see them in the map. Like, oh.
Because it was like the lap that
he was putting a solid lap. Like,
the lap that Hamilton put in was amazing. Like, we were like, wow. And the fact when Max started that lap and it was purple, 1/10 up, 1/10 up, second sector purple. My man is 3/10 up. We're like, whoa, because we know that even a 10th is quick, but 3/10 up on a lap like that, we're like, whoa, what's gonna happen here? And we're just looking, and we honestly, we were just waiting to cheer, like, yo, Max is the man. And then he tagged, we were like, wow. And then I don't know if you thought this when you saw it. Did you think it was gonna change the championship? Like, did you think it was gonna be a big moment in the championship fight? Because I thought,
by him not getting pole.
The damage.
yeah, because we knew that overtaking was gonna be hard on this track.
Well, my thing was that why Red Bull didn't change nothing on the car. Like, why the Red Bull didn't change the gearbox or anything on the car. To me, that was a big gamble.
Right after the crash.
Yeah, right after the crash, so obviously. But the lap the Verstappen did pretty much overshadowed. Hamilton's lap was magical as well, because he got pole. But that lap, if he was able to finish it, maybe he would not.
And he almost went into the wall in this first sector too, which was like, wow.
In the first sector, I think he was just a smoke. I think he just shaved the wall.
That's what we saw. When I saw it,
I thought he hit the wall there, by the way.
Yeah, when I saw it, I'm like, yo, and when he came out, I'm like, he's really pushing. Like, he's going.
That is driving on the limit, right?
Yeah, like literally on the limit.
It would, to me, honestly, I'm not a Red Bull fan because I want Mercedes to win. But I actually felt bad that Max crashed. The way he was going was so good to watch, and I would enjoy his lap so much because of what he was doing, that I would have actually liked for him to finish. Even though I don't think he was going to get pole because of the lockup that he had.
Yeah.
So that probably compromised, and that's what all the commentators say, all the guys on the technical guys.
Well, the lockup was what crashed the.
Exactly, because of the lockup, he had to get on the power quicker to be able to try to fight the time that he lost, but then the rear end just went on him.
Here's what I think. I think that overall, as Formula One fans, and we're diehard Formula One fans, and we love.
You think we are?
I mean, there's probably people. I don't put like the mold of a car on my head, like in Suzuki.
Yeah.
But,
Canada, the hat guy.
Yeah, we watch it. This is not to say that we're bigger fans than anybody else, but we watch it pretty extensively and we follow it extensively. When we see moments like that, we want to see it because it's history. It's like, oh yeah, I was there. I was watching it in this place when this happened. It's the same thing I was talking about last week when the storyline of how great it would be for Hamilton to win the championship because he's breaking that championship record. He's number 8, which is something that we like. When we're watching a moment like that on TV play out live, we're all like, maybe you're not a Max fan, but it's like, oh man, but I can say that I saw that, and I can say that to my grandkids and my kids when they're watching it with me. That lap, just like that Hamilton lap in Singapore in 2018,
That we watch as well.
that lap would have been like, oh, Max was on this amazing lap fighting for the championship. Nobody thought that he would get pole because obviously Mercedes had an engine that can outpower anybody, and he was able to get it by 0.3. I mean, I think
Listen,
I think that's
I'm at a-
that's what we wanted to happen, and it didn't.
right now I'm at a I would say a level of enjoyment of what we're watching that I wouldn't mind either one to win the title. Like for example, okay, Hamilton wins his 8th title, record breaking after all those records that he holds and stuff. But I wouldn't feel bad if Max won too.
Yeah, whoever wins, we win.
Yeah, like
We already won.
because Max, come on, the way the way everything they've done throughout all these years just to catch up to Mercedes and to be at a level of competing in this magnitude with these people.
I wouldn't mind it, but I'm picking a side already. Well, we'll talk about that later.
So here's a question. Here's a question that I had all throughout race weekend, all throughout last week and the week before Brazil. Does Max, based on that lap, does he have an equal car to the Mercedes, or was that just his driving just locked in?
I wouldn't go that far as having an equal car to Mercedes. I think Max gets it to that
I
level.
think that as far as who has the fastest car, and this is the beauty of Formula One. At some points in the season he has, and other points in the season he hasn't. I think if you look at the season in its entirety, I think Red Bull has had the fastest car. But it's like with any other sport, be it American football, and I'm pretty sure it goes for European football, meaning soccer here. Baseball, hockey, basketball.
You get hot at the right.
When you get hot at the right time, meaning right before the playoffs, going
That's how
into
you
the
win.
playoffs, we've seen so many teams come together, gel,
Yeah, the Giants,
and they win the
the
championship.
Bucks.
And usually that only happens with experienced championship teams. And I think this is what we're seeing now with Mercedes.
Well said. I think that Sector 2, I think it was, Red Bull dominated, and then they caught up.
Sector 1, I think it was.
Sector 1,
Mhm.
one of them they dominated,
Yeah.
and then that.
Sector 1.
Actually, you're right, because
Because Sector 2 is the they got the chicane, and then they have a whole bunch of other turns. After that is they have corners, but it's all flat out.
so that was qualifying. That was that insane.
We're still in qualifying.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
race
I mean-
starts. It's Ham, Bottas, Verstappen, everybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Mercedes has jumped out to a big lead. Not big. It's nip and tuck with Bottas and Verstappen. Hamilton hasn't necessarily pulled away like he normally does.
But he's out of DRS.
By
Correct.
more than a second.
Correct. Boom. Michael Schumacher crashes.
Mick.
You're right. You're right. Mick Schumacher crashes. Safety car. Couple of laps under safety car. The Mercedes and a number of other cars pit under the safety car. So Bottas, Hamilton both pit. Verstappen stays out.
Which is
Yeah, the people that pit, it was almost more than 3/3 of the field pit.
3/3. That's the whole field. I'll read it out. It was Hamilton,
3/4, my bad.
Hamilton,
3/4.
Bottas, Hamilton, Bottas,
2/3,
Leclerc,
3/4.
Norris,
My bad.
Latifi, Alonso, Stroll, and Perez. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 8 drivers out of the remaining 19 pits.
Okay, I guess I miscounted.
Double on that one, man.
Oh no, what did I?
3-3.
I'm on lap 13 when everybody was stopped. I looked at the numbers for the pits and it went to 13.
How many thirds was that for?
We'll,
4 thirds.
we'll forgive you because a lot happened, but
I went
All
to
right,
lap
so
13.
from there, so those cars pit. I'll read them again. Hamilton, Bottas, Leclerc, Norris, Stroll, Latifi, Alonso, and Perez. They all pit, and Russell. They all pit during the safety car period. 4 laps into the safety car period. Lap 13, race is red flagged.
yes.
I gotta say, I wasn't upset initially about it, right? So now you have Max up front, Hamilton and Bottas following, and then everybody else. But now Max gets a free pit stop. And I wasn't upset at first thinking about this. But then we saw all weekend during the FP2 race.
Not FP2.
F2.
I'm sorry,
F2 race.
FP2, we saw the crash from Leclerc. Yeah, thank you.
If you say something right, we're getting you the applause, bro.
So we saw Leclerc crash, and they had to red flag the whole session
Yes.
during practice. We saw multiple red flags during F2.
Yeah.
Should have known, right? Up front that whatever happened at that particular point was going to cause a red flag. Let's just boom, stop the whole thing.
So here's the thing. Going into the weekend, we knew that this was a possibility. 1, it's a super fast track. 2, there's not a lot of braking zones, right? 3, there's a lot of blind corners.
Before they got bootleg barriers.
No,
The barriers
barriers
help.
actually. Dude, those crashes on turn, I think it was turn 23 with Leclerc, Mick crashed in the same spot. I think
Mick, not Michael. Mick.
Trying to get me, bro. I said it right.
That means Ruben, wake up. Yes. All right.
On that corner itself, you had, I think those are I don't know if those are the safe, they call them the safer barriers. But you can see that they had like 3 or 4 levels of them.
Mm-hmm.
So they knew what was going on. And I think that those crashes would have been worse. Signs went off on that corner also. But he only nicked his back wing in qualifying. They knew that this could happen, and I think those accidents could have been a lot worse at the speed that they were going. I think they were going through that corner anywhere from 150 to 160 miles an hour. And the reason why it was it took so long to red flag it was because, one, I still think it took too long to red flag it.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why is because after they cleared the car, they noticed that they had to replace one of those safer barriers because it had a puncture in it. And if it had a puncture in it, it won't interlock. So, and them knowing that so many cars have gone off at that very same corner, if it would have happened again, then something even more egregious would have happened.
Yeah, of course.
So that was the reason why they did it. I think that with all the technology, all the cameras, all the viewpoints, I think you can come to that conclusion that you have to red flag it earlier than what they did.
Right away.
Right away.
However, I will say, I'm glad that they red flagged it. I'm glad that they took the precautions because it was a little over a year ago that Grosjean had that accident. So I want to make sure everybody's safe, everybody's good.
Right.
So, red flag, session stopped. A number of people are able to change their tires. I'm going to go through it. Max, Ocon, Ricardo, Gasly, Sainz, Giovinazzi, my boy. The Bullet. Latifi, Tsunoda, Raikkonen, Vettel, Perez, and Mazepin. So that's
3/3 of the
definitely 3/3 of.
I was going to say it myself, but you guys
beat me to it. But so what does that do? That automatically track position, boom, they all of a sudden everybody that pitted during the red flag, or that changed tires, I should say, during the red flag, supreme advantage.
Yeah, because this is a track position race.
Now it's track position. So what did that mean? That meant that Verstappen was on, let's call it on pole after the formation lap, and it was a standing start where everybody's lined back up at the grid. Hamilton was second, Bottas third. I believe Ocon was fourth. I could double check that, but he was in that mix. Race restart.
Yeah.
This is, I don't know. So the race restarted. Hamilton flies off the line. This is the first restart. Flies off the line.
GOAT things.
So I forgot the mind games. Do you want to talk about the mind games? The GOAT things that
The GOAT things. So the mind games, or the games that they play, obviously, when you are on, this is not a formation lap. It's just it's a lap around the track, so you can warm up the tires, warm up the brakes, because obviously in F1 we know that if those tires are cold and if those brakes are cold,
Nothing's happening.
you have no grip and you have no brakes. So, what we were noticing during that restart was Hamilton was holding back, because what Hamilton wants to do is, obviously he can hold back a little bit and still warm up his tires and warm up his brakes. But if Max gets way ahead and he gets to his grid spot, he's just sitting there. The tires are getting cold, brakes are getting cold,
And the engine getting hot.
and the engine is getting hot, which means that once the race restarts again, going into that first corner, Max is at a disadvantage because he can't brake as he doesn't have any braking power, and his tires are cold because he doesn't have any grip to get through the corner. Advantage Hamilton. Now, one thing and we spoke about this before, what this revealed is something completely opposite what we've experienced as fans on the part of Max Verstappen throughout this whole year. We no longer saw a cool, calm, collected Max Verstappen. We saw a nervous Max Verstappen, a jittery Max Verstappen, somebody who you can tell the pressure of the moment was getting to him. And he just wanted to get it off because he wanted to go racing, because I guess racing is where he feels the most comfortable with. And obviously his complaint was that Hamilton...
He's doing it again.
No. Well, not that he's doing it again. His complaint was that Hamilton was more than 10 car lengths back, which he might have a point if it's a formation lap, which is only at the beginning of the race. But during a restart lap, before the restart, there's
Those
no
rules don't
rule
apply.
where you can be. So the fact that Lewis Hamilton knows this is amazing.
Of course.
And the fact that Max Verstappen, the way he sounded on the radio, and that he doesn't know this because it shows the experience that Hamilton has, especially in these situations, it just shows you the difference and how how you can, like, to beat a champion. Like, if you're gonna come for the king, you best not miss. And we said this before, and now you're seeing it play out these last few races. Especially, we saw the chink in the armor in Max Verstappen.
Right, because he said the same thing in Brazil, right?
Yes.
So the restart, cold tires, cold brakes, hot engine.
It was a long distance between them.
Hamilton, boom, flies off the
Flies off. He
start
did not
box.
miss a beat. It's what I was saying before. When the moment presents itself, those are stuff like that is the reason why Hamilton is a 7-time champion.
It's like Hamilton got like an extra boost off the line.
Just
Because
flew.
that's how easy he made it look getting past Max, because he did it clean on the first turn.
8 meters behind Max
Not even the
Verstappen,
first turn.
dirty side of the grid on top of it.
No, he made it to the first turn completely past him. Right?
Yeah, like he had that corner.
Yeah.
Had the corner.
Right, so there's a little bit of gamesmanship there, right? Because now Max Verstappen late breaks into the corner,
As late as he possibly
as
could.
late as he could.
That's another crazy part from the Red Bull.
Tries to hit turn one, and now if I'm him, which they did, you're hitting turn 2 and you could say, he's pushing me out. I got to take the escape.
I got to cut the corner.
I got to cut it. There's no, I have to be safe. For
That's
once.
Verstappen.
No, I mean,
That-
but if they were wheel to wheel, that
that's
would
what
fit.
I would argue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But now I break so late. Oh, Hamilton's pushing me out. I got to, so like that would be like, he did it more than one time. So that's why I'm thinking that was the strategy going into it. That, okay, now that they've mentioned in Brazil
Mm-hmm.
that I can't just push people up. We can't just push each other off. Okay, I had to take the escape road. Even though it gives me an advantage, I had to take it.
Mm-hmm.
So he takes the escape road, cuts the corner, turn 2, yada, yada, yada. Order to give it back, the place. While trying to give it back, your boy Esteban Ocon sneaks up. Total Wolf's boy, actually. Esteban Ocon sneaks up.
Well, no, he wasn't ordered to give it back at that moment.
No, he wasn't. No.
He wasn't ordered
His
to
team
give
didn't say give it back? Because why did he slow-
afterwards. So what happens was that he cuts the corner, he takes the lead. At that point,
When
Hamilton
he
has,
rejoins.
Hamilton has a bit of a scuffle with Ocon. He actually hits Ocon during that was right.
I don't know.
Am I right? Yeah, he actually hit Ocon on that restart.
That's weird because he was so far out in front.
It wasn't that reach. That was another
It
reach.
was the other restart, the second
Where they
restart
touch.
that they touch.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, exactly.
Confused. All right. So we're talking about
No, what I think was, as Max rejoined, Hamilton had to slow down, or they were going to hit each other. And because of slowing down, Ocon is coming behind him pretty much at speed and just passes him.
Okay. So then,
Okay, I have it here. Okay. Hamilton gets a better start, jumps off into the lead. This is the first restart, lap 15. Max, this is when he pushes him. Max takes the lead, cuts the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Takes the lead, cuts the corner. This is when Hamilton and Ocon touch a little bit. Ocon takes second place. Hamilton drops back to third. And then this is when the whole crash happened with Perez,
Behind them.
and they had to red flag the race again.
Right there on the spot.
Yes. Yeah.
okay. So that was nuts. And then they crash, red flag the whole thing again. Perez, Leclerc, Mazepin, kind of three-way crash, and Russell. No, Russell. Yeah, and Russell.
Mazepin ends Russell.
Leclerc manages to somehow get off scot-free,
Well, broke his win.
but he's able to continue.
Yeah, he continued the race. Yeah.
Perez crash effectively ends the world championship, whatever drama
Well,
there could have been.
Construction.
Constructors championship drama, whatever that could have been. Boom, that's done. Another red flag, right?
But wait. Can we say about also Perez being the lone wolf there?
Yeah, just
Almost.
walking. It almost.
He just standing in the corner.
You
Like,
guys ever watch? Yes. You guys ever watch the Incredible Hulk like TV show where it was live action? That at the end it's always like he's like hitchhiking down.
okay. That's the only thing Perez was missing, to hitchhike right back. He was there by himself with his helmet in his hand, like, is anybody going to come pick me up?
So another red.
Hello, I'm here. Like,
Another red flag.
he could have walked back, I think he would have made it.
Max pulls in first into the garage, into the pit lane, and then
Because he
Ocon-
was in front.
Because he was in front.
Pretty much just going to the pits, everybody stops.
At this point,
Normal procedure there.
which we'll get to later on, Michael Massey and Red Bull negotiate as to where he should drop back to. Max ends up in third position because he had cut the corner, and that was like he had to give it back. Hamilton's in second, Ocon's in first.
Right.
Craziness already. Like, what's going on here? Race restart again.
Mm-hmm.
This is where, from the outside of turn 1, Max cuts in. I will call it he dive bombs. Because that's what it was. That's what I said right from the beginning. Like, I see that type of stuff like when you're playing F1 online. That's what people do. Like in Monza, they just cut the corner and like whoever they hit, they hit.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Right? Yeah. So Max dive bombs down the inside, is able to take the lead with what I thought was a brilliant strategy call at the time. They went with mediums where most other drivers were on hards. They changed after the during the second red flag session.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So that means your tires are have a little more grip. They're able to retain heat a little better, whatever. So goes the race, right? Eventually, Hamilton passes Ocon. So then it's Max and Hamilton. Max first, Hamilton second, and
I think that the on the negotiation for we'll get to that, but the reason why Red Bull was okay with taking that third grid spot, one is on the clean side of the track.
Yep.
So you get more grip.
Yep.
And they knew that obviously if they're gonna be at a disadvantage, they knew that they had to give the lead back, or they had to concede the place to Hamilton. At least they knew Hamilton was gonna be on the dirty side. Max was gonna be on the clean side, so he has more grip going into that first corner. He's obviously gonna be faster than Ocon. He just had to make sure that he nailed that start. And you know what? Championship things. He did it. He did what he had to do.
did what he had to do.
Yeah.
Bottas was also switched onto mediums, but that didn't really turn out to play too much into it because he didn't have as good a start as Max.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, okay, let's set the stage. Back and forth from lap 15 to lap 37. It's nip and tuck. Hamilton catching up to Verstappen, getting to a point where he's almost able to overtake him.
Mm-hmm.
Finally does, right? Overtakes him. And then Verstappen, just like we had talked about before, turn 1 and then turn 2, late brake. I need the space. Let me take the escape road. Is able to take the lead at that point because of the abuse of the escape road or of cutting the corner. From there, he is, I guess later on, directed. FIA goes to Red Bull, tells them Max has to give the place back to Hamilton. During that exchange, then they later start to tell Hamilton that he's able to take the place back from Max. At that point, literally within a few seconds, that's when they collided on lap 38, right after turn 27.
Yes.
Did I explain that enough? Is there more color commentary that needs to be added there before? Is there more color that needs to be added there before we add our own color to the situation?
What happened was accurate. What you said was accurate.
It was a nice battle, though.
I tried to keep
Hamilton
it as
catch up.
basic as I could.
It was a nice battle, the catch up that Hamilton did.
It was
catch
great.
Up. It was awesome. Very clean.
I love catch up.
At that point, it was.
Leading up to that lap 37
Kerfuffle.
What? Alfalfa?
Yes, El Alfa.
I was getting extremely frustrated because during that period, there were 2 virtual safety cars that were deployed.
In between.
In between.
Yep.
The first one was because Sonoda crashed into the barriers where he skated on his wing.
Yeah.
The second one was Kimi trying to overtake Sebastian Vettel. I don't know what Kimi was doing. There was
Bad
really
blood.
no space.
Kimi was doing what Kimi does.
Yeah. And obviously, debris everywhere. And Alonso was on the radio saying, we've never
Ridiculous.
raced this way.
Yes.
But
And I like all the explanation that Alonso did to try to get the safety car so they could clean.
no, I listen.
It's truly
The
unsafe.
virtual safety car was needed because obviously anybody gets a puncture.
Well, he wanted a safety car so they could really clean. Because
Well-
the virtual safety car is just to pick up something and move out of the way real
Yeah,
quick.
but I mean, if somebody gets a puncture, hits a wall, it was all, it was reasonable. But as we've seen so many times in many races, when we have a battle that is looming, Hamilton was clearly faster than Verstappen, catching up to him.
Even under the virtual safety car, he was catching up.
Yeah, then you have,
Like, that's crazy.
You have
they
a
even
virtual
mentioned it, that
safety
the
car.
Delta, was he maintaining it?
you have a virtual safety car or you have a safety car, and then we are robbed of that battle that is to come. And usually this happens at end of races, but thank God it happened in the middle of the races. I was getting extremely frustrated, and I think this is the complaint that I have about this track. That too many incidents seem to happen where you're gonna have too many stoppages of the race, where we're not gonna be able to enjoy a battle if it's going on, and this was the case with this one. They had to stop. Obviously, Hamilton was gaining. Anytime the virtual safety car is deployed, it's advantage Red Bull because they're in the lead at that point, and they get to save their tires. And they're on the mediums, which is the higher degrading tire. So, again, it's an advantage for Red Bull because they can hold out that tire to the end. So that's one of the complaints that I have about the track, and it was extremely frustrating just watching that. Then that incident happens with the FIA, and it was just it was very frustrating, that whole sequence of events.
Which incident?
Where Hamilton runs into the back of Max Verstappen because
The brake check.
the so-called brake check, because it just showed to you that the FIA or Michael Massey and the FIA seemed like they were not in control of what was going on in this race. It was obviously the stoppages didn't seem to help as far as cleaning up the track. They didn't clean it up well. That's why you need it. And obviously incidents were happening, so you have to deploy this virtual safety car. So that's robbing us of a good battle at the front. And then the late call on saying that Hamilton should say that Max should give that place back to Hamilton, which was clear that he should have. And just the whole argument of what is going to happen, how they're doing, and the miscommunication was very annoying and very confusing, and we just didn't know what happened. And the fact that they ran into each other, and at that point we didn't know how it affected the cars, it robbed us, of the fans, a great battle for the championship, and it could have been worse. Thank God it didn't go that way.
Yes.
Thank God Hamilton had a bulletproof car this week.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank God it didn't go that way, but that was very frustrating. And if any little thing would have went the other way, we as fans and Formula One as a whole, we would have been upset. Formula One would have looked horrible, which it didn't look great this weekend, but it got saved because of that championship battle. It looked very amateurish, and that's something that has to be fixed, because we've seen inklings of this throughout the season, and it came to a head at this race.
Well, I think it could be fixed if Michael Massey just lays down the law.
Grows a set of balls.
Yeah. Because if you look at videos when Charlie was talking to the drivers, he would not give him budge. Like, that's how it is. Like, Michael Massey, you want to switch places? Do you want to do what? No, my man. Yo, you got to give the place back, or we're gonna investigate it. That's it. Plain and simple. Now you don't give it back. But I think, obviously, he also takes, a guy like Hamilton to save his car. Because remember, he also touched earlier in the race with Ocon. And it didn't show like he had damage because he was still flying. And then losing an end plate to the win. Yeah. He was still flying.
Which you've seen many cars that happen to, and they just lose.
Just go to the back. And he was still setting it, because the fastest lap, he said it.
After that.
After he got the, end plate, whatever, off. So we need, and we criticized.
What I was afraid was that end plate was going to fly off and puncture his tire.
But it did fly out. But
it didn't puncture his tire. Yeah.
But those incidents, that happened, the miscommunication cannot. I don't know if how could it be safe? Maybe they should have told Mercedes, hey, we're going to swap the places before Red Bull, because Red Bull, obviously, they were told, they reacted right away. And they reacted so quick that Mercedes was not, according to Mercedes, and obviously because Verstappen got a penalty for it, so he showed that Mercedes was not, not at fault. Mercedes was not up to communication.
The term was that Max was predominantly at fault.
Gotcha.
And I think that's an important distinction there. So what do you guys think? We use the term, we're
talking about the incident, because there was a few incidents as far as obviously the overtaking at
Yeah, that's
Turn
So
two.
this
But we're
is
talking about
we're
the-
talking about
the-
the actual collision,
the collision
which
between
was
Max,
a
yeah.
result of cutting the corner
Mhm.
and having to give the track back. How did you guys see it? What did you guys think? Who did you guys think now, and at the time, is at fault?
Predominantly, who's at fault?
no.
The FIA.
That's the same thing I was thinking. I was thinking the same thing.
Just be careful.
I'm sorry. The FIA. But here's the thing. And again, this goes back to what I was saying, that we saw a different Max Verstappen as not the cool, calm, and collected, but the more nervous,
Breaking.
jittery. Obviously, he's ordered to give the place back.
Mhm.
Hamilton apparently didn't know, and that's a miscommunication. This is why I say the
That's what I was
FIA
saying earlier,
is at fault. However, there was a bit of cat and mouse going on, because obviously when Max was ordered to give the place back, and I think they knew, Red Bull already knew that he was going to have to do it, because that move was a little bit, on the edge, is a little bit sketchy. They already knew that they wanted to give it back right before they hit that DRS zone on the start-finish straight. So when Hamilton just passes by, you can turn on the DRS, hit it, book it, let him go,
Hit the DRS.
hit the DRS because he's a second behind, and go. Hamilton knew that.
I think Hamilton knew that from the get-go.
Hamilton knew that.
That's why it was. Wells just changed pretty much on the way that the penalty was, what they focus on the for the penalty. So that means they discovered that both teams were aware that they won't have to switch places, but Hamilton did not want to switch places right there because of the same thing. I'm going to lose the spot by the end of the straight. I'm going to lose the spot.
Yeah.
So why am I going to do it now?
And Max
and it ended up happening that way later on.
and ended up happening.
So
that
I see
way, yeah.
it's part of the FIA's problem, because I see that changing down the road as well. Where if we're swapping places, you cannot do it in that area, because what are we swapping places for then?
And also, when
They're going to get more technical onto what area you're able to swap a spot. And if you do it in that area, you cannot just overtake me after the DRS zone.
Yeah.
You have to get past the DRS zone to overtake me.
yes,
To have a fair advantage of, hey, we're swapping places because you did something. That's why we're not swapping places for free.
right.
So when you do it in that little space with no reprimandation on it, so what are we swapping for? You're still going to get ahead.
They're still going to get ahead, so
Yeah.
there's no point in even
Exactly.
swapping. So that there has to be rules that are obviously clear on that end.
So that's where the FIA, to me, that's their fault, because that's not clear.
Well, and I also think that their fault, because they weren't communicating to both teams at the same time as to what has to happen. But this all goes back to even before, because in Brazil the same thing happened and there was no investigation, nothing was needed.
What same thing happened?
Well, when Hamilton tried to overtake Max, and
Let Max push them out.
Max pushed him out.
And there was no
on the
investigation
outside.
until. Oh no, they refused.
They didn't investigate it at all,
Okay.
and now all of a sudden they're investigating things. Right?
They
All of
became
a sudden,
detectives. I don't know where the detectives are.
hands off the championship battle. All of a sudden, we got to get involved because we're going to look bad.
Right. So in general, the FIA just looks
This
like,
year has been failing.
So there's.
But then there's also. I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off. But
You did, though.
But exactly.
Give him a 10-second penalty. Jeez.
I don't want to cut you off, but I will.
Masi. Get him.
But just on the incident itself, when Max had to give up the place, he braked really hard. And we've seen swaps before, not only between Twin Motors or when the FIA has swapped the places. They never slowed down that quick.
Then it was that much, and in that area, yes. I
in
agree
that
with you.
area.
So-
So I mean,
Everything is strategically right now. Everything matters right now.
There were
it's like if you're gonna do something, do it right. Max didn't do it right out.
there were two winners
Mm-hmm.
this past weekend and two losers, right? The two losers, the FIA and Max, right?
Mm-hmm.
The two winners, Lewis Hamilton and Netflix, right?
Yeah. they can do 10 seasons off this race.
Yep.
alone.
I want to call to your attention. A couple of races ago, Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Lando Norris, Daniel Ricciardo, and Carlos Sainz. What happened there? Carlos Sainz had to give back the place to, I think, Lando Norris. Ends up giving it to Ricciardo.
To the wrong McLaren. Yeah.
Let's Lando pass and then overtakes him under DRS. Right? Right after. In 2008, the Belgian Grand Prix, Hamilton,
He did it.
he let Kimi Raikkonen pass. Same type of thing. Let Kimi Raikkonen get back. He had taken a place, cut a corner. With the toe, was able to overtake Kimi and end up, I guess, winning the race in person, we'll call it, right? But later on, he received a penalty. It was a 25-second penalty. I'm going to read.
Oh, he won the race on the track.
Okay. And then later on lost it because he received a 25-second penalty.
For doing that?
For doing the same thing. He said, Raikkonen pushed me to the point where I would either have been on the curb and crashed into him or have to go on the escape route. So I went on the escape route. I understood I had to let him pass, so I did. I got in his toe, and he was ducking and diving left and right, and I did the same and managed to get back to the inside of him. But then he hit me at the apex of the corner, but I think I was pretty much gone from there. So Hamilton himself has already
mastered that trick.
But also there was precedent set back then by those stewards that it's a penalty to be able to do that.
When you do this is going to happen.
However, that precedent did not apply this very season when we had Carlos Sainz re-overtake.
Earlier in the year, you mean?
Or earlier this year, two races ago in Brazil, when Carlos Sainz re-overtook, I think it was Lando Norris in Brazil. So who knows what the actual opportunity here is? Who knows what's right? Who knows what's wrong? Just do whatever you can. Figure it out, guys. Hopefully nobody crashes, etc. Thanks, FIA.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because the FIA ain't doing crap about it.
So what do we get here? We have, and the reason I wanted to be clear about the predominant, right, is that Red Bull says give back the position strategically. Slows down. He doesn't slow down. He lifts. He's going 180 kilometers per hour, I believe, or down to like 160. Hamilton catches up behind him, does not take the position. Right? So the complete antithesis of what a race driver does when he comes up against a slow driver, right?
Just pass him.
Just pass him. I believe if
Book it.
Right.
Let's go.
Taking myself out of it, he was so fast on the straight, the DRS wouldn't have mattered because Max would have had to reaccelerate and then be able to get into the toe. Ham would have been so far gone, like it wouldn't have
if
mattered.
he didn't start, if he didn't slow
If
down
he
at
didn't
all.
slow down.
If he would have just kept going with his momentum and
But Hamilton knew what Verstappen.
of course.
But I think it was still a tactical error on Hamilton's part. But separate from that, so to me,
I agree with you on that.
I want to go back and I also want to read the. Do I have it? No. The sporting regulation. Yes, I do over here. I don't have it.
Yes, I do. No, I don't. Yes, I do. No, I don't.
Here it is. From Article 27.4 of the sporting regulations, at no time may a car be driven unnecessarily slowly, erratically, or in a manner which could be deemed potentially dangerous to other drivers or any other person. Both of them drove slowly.
But I believe Max moved more.
But it's not even that
Like if
they
you're letting him
move.
pass, slow down and just go to the side completely. I think Max swerved.
Listen, they both move slowly, but the reason, what you can argue there is that the reason why Hamilton was slow was because Max was slow in front of him.
No, I think that's the reason that they use as well, because Max got slowed down, so I thought something was wrong. That's why I slowed down.
So he during the race, earlier in the race, he said he was having issues with power, right? His battery, they said, oh, you're just topping up your battery or whatever.
Max.
Right. So if his battery blew, should Lewis just hang out behind him? I don't know what's going on. I'm going to hang out behind him.
He knew. I think he knew.
Listen, the issue I think there was that Max slowed down so much. And it caused a collision.
Yeah.
There was also the fact that
Thank God it wasn't bigger, by the way.
yeah, there was. That's why I was so upset when it happened. Like I got up off my seat and I just slammed the table. I'm like, how is this gonna come down to this?
You slammed the table too?
Oh yeah, I slammed the table.
What about your headphones?
Did they not break?
No, I left that up to Toto.
Gotcha.
I wonder if those headphones still work. I
They
think
got an
right?
extra set.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I think that was the case that he slowed down so much. It wasn't even like a reasonable slowdown. It was just like, and that's dangerous, especially when you have cars behind you
On a
on
fast
that
track.
part of the track. So I mean, at the end of the day, that penalty didn't affect the result of the race.
Yeah.
But I think they also have to set. The FIA is in a tough position. They did a horrible job, but in a tough position because they have to set a precedent, which obviously they're horrible at doing, because now this fight is going into the last race.
And they also took away the 5 second that he got first.
Which one?
Remember, he received a 5 second grip.
No, they gave it to him too.
Who, Hamilton? Max.
Max,
Yeah, Max.
yeah.
Yeah, they gave that to him too.
They gave them okay.
So here's the scenario.
That's why he pulled back once he got the 5 second penalty. There was no
pulled
point.
back.
Yeah.
Hamilton passed him. He repassed him.
Yeah.
Max repassed him, and then they gave the 5 second penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what if? So we saw Hamilton slow down, lift as well as Max. Max brakes. What if Max never brakes? What if Hamilton just continues going
Or-
slow? What if Hamilton and Max just continue going slow? That plays right into Mercedes' hands, right? Because who's coming behind them? It's Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah.
So
oh no, at that point, Ocon's behind him.
it doesn't matter.
What's the matter?
It doesn't matter.
But
Either way,
Bottas gonna get
do
up.
I just stop and can you please pass me whenever you have a moment? Let's let everybody catch up to us. Potentially pass
I just
us.
think Hamilton didn't want to give him DRS, and obviously we know why, because that's exactly what he did later on. So Hamilton just didn't want to give him the DRS, which is reasonable because Hamilton knew because he's done it before. But I'm going back to the FIA here. The FIA, I mean, there was a ton of penalties given. There was a whole bunch of things going. The FIA, the one criticism I have about Michael Massey is that he's not stern enough. He wants to negotiate with the teams because they don't want to get involved. They don't want a steward's decision or an FIA decision to decide the championship battle because it's so close. But at some point, you have to put your foot down and get involved, because if they don't, then these incidents, especially going into the last race, tied, something's going to happen, and we're going to have what happened with Ayrton Senna and Prost in Suzuka, where they crash into each other and Ayrton Senna wins the championship, because Ayrton Senna knew that if Prost doesn't finish that race, he wins on the points.
Wasn't it the same with Schumacher and?
Yeah, but that happened the year before with Prost and Senna, where they went into the first corner at Suzuka. They crashed into each other, but Ayrton Senna was
able to get
able to continue. Ayrton
And then
Senna
get the
wins
cue.
the race. Prost goes straight to the FIA stewards, and the I don't know, I forgot his name, but he was French, and obviously Alain Prost is French. Complains because Ayrton Senna went
Cut
through
the
the
corner.
runoff area, cut the corner, and they disqualified Ayrton Senna from that race, and Alain Prost won the championship. So these are the type of situations that obviously has happened before in F1, and you don't want that to happen this season, especially when they're tied on points going into the last.
We miss you, Charlie Whiting. So
Yes,
I
we do.
wanna go back, and I wanna say just two more things.
Can we start a petition to ask for Massey's seat?
I'm if he's not fired after this, I don't know. So number one, I thought, regardless of anything, Max should have been disqualified. Why is that? Because of the multiple corner cuttings.
Mm-hmm.
Because of at no point it is certifiably unsafe on a straight, the start-finish straight, to hit your brakes at any point like that. Like that's to me that's ridiculous, right?
And he's done it. He's done it so many times, and that's my only criticism with Max.
What has he done so many times?
Dangerous driving, man.
When somebody's gonna overtake him, mainly Lewis Hamilton, because obviously Lewis Hamilton is probably the only other driver that has been as quick as him this season. when Hamilton has him in his sights and he tries to overtake him, especially going into the first corner, which is what happened in Brazil and happened here, he tends to really defend aggressively to the point where he's pushing the driver off. And it's very dangerous. And Lewis Hamilton alluded to this after the race. It's hard to race against somebody who doesn't follow the same rules as you. And the reason why the FIA is there is to make sure that these rules are followed. And they've let him do this throughout the entire season whenever that's happened. And they've either ended up crashing or they haven't given him a penalty, which I think they should have given him a penalty in Brazil for doing the exact same thing he did twice in this race. Sorry.
We'll come back, Jens.
But it's so frustrating because you want to see clean racing, and we all know that
and
is
that's
the
what they
one,
promote, by the way.
That is the one criticism that everyone on the grid and everybody who sees this with their own two eyes is that Max Verstappen, when defending, plays a little dirty.
Mm-hmm. So,
yes, he does.
So, it would be consistent with Hamilton having received a penalty in Silverstone for, I'll say, quote unquote, pushing out Max, right?
Right.
I want to take one step further back in time. 2000.
To get back in time.
2017.
Close but no cigar.
Was it 17?
Go ahead.
In 2017, I'm pretty sure it was 17. The whole Hamilton and Vettel brake check.
It was 17.
Brake check issue.
Yeah.
Regardless of what happened, the telemetry, etc., for crashing into the rear of a driver, Sebastian Vettel received a 10-second stop-and-go penalty.
Yes.
I, along with believing that Max should have gotten a DQ, I believe that Hamilton should have also received a penalty for, one, driving slow, not just flying past, and then two, for crashing into the rear of, regardless of what else is going on. He should not even put himself in that position. He should have received a penalty for one or both of those things. And then
I think we will see that.
Hitting Max Verstappen and for driving slowly, because sporting regulation says that you cannot drive slowly.
Yeah, but Max was the one that's driving slowly. But Max hit the brakes.
Hamilton lifted off as well in order to not pass. Is that racing to you?
So they're both doing the same thing.
No. But it's because we're so long in the year. We're just one race away. These guys are fighting for the championship. This is the level we're in. But I see that happening. If not in the near future, it will happen eventually. What you just said right now,
so then if that's the case, that's the case. And what is true is being said that it wasn't being communicated clearly to Lewis Hamilton by the FIA or the FIA to the teams that he should overtake him. Okay. Yeah, because I know you're ready for this. Go ahead. So then why the FIA probably didn't give him a penalty? Because they knew they effed up by not communicating that to both teams.
So in a race, when a car is going slow, you just don't pass them?
I'm telling you, it's because
that makes sense.
If we were earlier in the year, I see something what you're saying happening.
Right, exactly. But now they're so focused on getting that history awaits hashtag, making the final race the whatever, that they just don't. They want to let them race. They got extremely lucky, like Ruben said earlier, that Hamilton's car wasn't more messed up.
And I don't think that
they didn't take each other out.
But I also don't think that the penalty that Vettel got in 2017 is the same as this, because what Vettel did was literally drive up next to Hamilton and drove into him. That was why he got the stop and go penalty. So I wouldn't if they want to give him a penalty, it wouldn't be equivalent to that.
Okay, so that was under a safety car. Would it be the same then to say that Hamilton should have just driven past him?
He should have, but he didn't.
No, but that's pretty much part of the investigation.
That's what caused the accident.
But the reason why was because it wasn't they didn't know what the hell was going on. Bro.
On a racetrack, if a car has a failure of like their engine or whatever, you don't pass them?
No, he should have passed. I think that's what he tried to do. It was too late.
No.
Not at all. He slowed down. He slowed down. He slowed down to 180, 160 kilometers per hour. And then the reason Max hit the brake is he wanted to slow down more to let him pass.
And that's when Max downshifted as well.
So hold on.
Quick.
So I don't get what you're saying. Both of them should get a penalty?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Fine. I disagree with you.
Look at this guy taking sides, man. Jeez.
I'm damn sure I already said I was taking sides.
I'm calling the balls and strikes.
I already said I'm taking sides, man. I haven't because and I said that earlier.
So
I'm taking sides because I don't like the way Max has been racing this season. That's why I'm taking sides. Purely opinion.
Imagine an
what I
umpire
do.
is like, you know what? I don't like this batter, so the strike zone is gonna be enormous.
And it's happened before.
You can't do that. Yo, I'm running out of battery, so we gotta keep moving. I'm down to 16%. So final results: Hamilton and Max, first and second. 10-second penalty assessed to Max after all was said and done, predominantly at fault, which I agree with.
nice drag race by
History
by Valtteri
awaits.
Bottas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Second time he does that.
Now let's just wrap it up. It's tied up going into the last race of the season.
Advantage Red Bull.
No.
Why?
Not at all.
Because
No, it is because the tiebreaker is race wins.
Okay, but
it would not. Is it possible to be tied on one?
advantage Red Bull, but also to me, it's advantage Mercedes with a new engine.
Oh no, yeah. That's
Well,
we go
we're
down to the
just talking
nitty gritty
about
on
it,
that
yeah,
aspect.
yeah.
I just said it because of the race wins
The tiebreaker.
penalty when it's
Okay.
tied up.
Yeah.
All right.
The tiebreaker thing.
Yes.
So we'll
We
see
know
what
Mercedes
happens.
winning, but
All right. So FIA, the
Bull's on the
negotiations
nuts.
at the first restart. I'm sorry, at the second restart. What do we think?
please
And
don't.
I gotta go. Like I said, I gotta go quick as my
Please
battery.
don't take this away. The radio sharing,
No,
communication.
FIA,
Please
listen,
don't take
bro.
that away.
Driver
No, because
of the
remember they're
season
saying
has
that,
been FIA
that's
radio.
normal. The negotiation is normal, but we've never heard that before. So don't take it away. Obviously, the public shouldn't get surprised in some things that we hear now that we never heard before. They're not hiding it out. Like they're showing it. Go ahead.
No, I mean, a lot of people were. The FIA did a lot of things wrong. I don't think that. I mean, obviously, that was the most glaring thing because we've never seen that before, never heard that before. But I don't think that was the worst thing that the FIA or Michael Massey did this weekend. There was other things that were worse. So as far as like FIA team radio, I'm with it. I love it. For the win, every single race, because we as fans want to see what's going on in the background and we can get some explanation as to what's going on. It's the same reason we kind of know that the teams weren't communicating effectively with both teams when they wanted to do the swap. So that wasn't the worst thing that they did. But they did a lot of other things wrong.
Of course. No.
Yeah.
So going forward, I think I've already heard what Ruben said. But the FIA, in reality, all we need is consistency, right?
Yeah.
That's all we're looking for from them.
That's what we've been saying the whole season.
Yeah.
Even last season.
Yeah. Now that the stakes are so high, we see where we have gotten to.
But these are the moments where you prove your mettle. These are the moments when you have a championship fight and everybody's squabbling. This is where the FIA or Michael Massey, talking about Michael Massey, has to lay
law.
lay down the law.
Be just Dredd.
Exactly.
Yancy, by the way,
And he's cowering away from it.
I'm going to be constantly checking the FIA website to see if they're hiring. I would like for them to give you a job. Go ahead, Wills.
Oh, man. So there's that, right? The rest of the field. Is there really much to talk about with regards to the rest of the field? Ham and Verstappen, first and second. Bottas, third.
Don't ever talk bad about Bottas. That's my
him.
boy.
Race director. Fire him. That's another guy that needs to be. Maybe they're hiring for him.
Who, Michael Massey?
No, I'm sorry, not the race. The TV director.
The TV director.
Yes.
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 We missed
'Cause
a
they didn't-
last lap battle for.
That was like the best moment of the race.
We
The
had
drag race.
Hamilton
Yeah.
so far out in front, like he was just not going to be caught, right?
Yeah.
That was a waste of time.
Yeah.
So Ocon
catch-up.
fourth, Daniel Ricciardo fifth, taking advantage of that track position. Pierre Gasly sixth, Pierre, the great Gasly. Charles Leclerc seventh, Carlos Sainz eighth, Giovinazzi ninth. 8 points for Giovinazzi, and 10th Lando Norris.
Bullet was flying this weekend. Had a great weekend.
The constructors, dude, it's 26 points gap between Mercedes and Red Bull. That's pretty much academic at this point,
Mm-hmm.
unless there's a DNF. And even still, like, not enough. But Ferrari at 307.5 and McLaren at 269.
Jeez.
That's it. It's over.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
Forza Ferrari.
Woo! 38-point lead there. That it would be impossible.
They should have had a better weekend this weekend, but all things
Alpine,
considered.
thanks to Ocon, 149, and AlphaTauri, 120. So
know
they
what,
pretty much
man?
got 5th place locked in.
Ocon,
Yep, they're there.
Ocon has had a really good season. I think he's one of the unsung heroes of
Yeah.
the season.
Yeah.
All those midfield guys, man, they've been. Once you get past the Ferrari,
There's a
McLaren,
lot of talent on this grid.
yeah,
man.
the Gasly's of the world,
Gasly.
Ocons of the
Mhm.
world. We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to talk
Definitely
about with
did
regards
better
to
than
this race?
Stoffel
This
Van
race,
Dorn.
Mr. Battle. The thing he did with the what was the hashtag that he created? And he did some racing with some women and with
Oh yeah,
some ladies.
he had a karting event.
He had like a karting event with some ladies and
with
stuff
some
like
ladies, yeah.
that. He still keeps doing, pushing boundaries to the right, to the right things.
Trivia?
Let's do it.
We got a couple of things with you. Well, I got two questions. There, it's just easy because this track is not that old, and it's not that exciting.
Yeah.
So
Not this season, boy.
yeah, but this track is, obviously this is the second time by the way that happens. But this goes with a super easy one. Okay. Name the driver in 2012 to take the win for Lotus here at Yas Marina, who also uttered the words, "Just leave me alone."
Kimi Räikkönen.
Just leave me alone. I know what to do. What?
The drop.
Okay.
I think we're gonna have to do a second moment of silence.
Next up. Next question.
In 2020,
Watson's nervous.
yeah, he's about to
Down
lose
to
power.
11%.
In 2020, it came down to a record of 4 drivers in contention for they were battling for the
What year?
winner of the World Driver Championship in 2010.
Okay.
I named the driver that won that year and became the youngest ever champion at the time.
Sebastian Vettel.
You got it. And the 4 drivers were Mark Webber, Alonso, Hamilton, obviously, Vettel.
Crazy.
That's all I got for trivia. There's nothing else to go home about.
Any history?
History, we got a little bit of history, yeah. Obviously, another track designed by our good friend
Herman.
Tilk.
Herman Tilke.
Tickle.
With best of Herman Tilke. He had a stroke recently. He's on.
And he was up in the go.
recovery. And actually,
Prayers
his son
up.
was the one that was primarily designed the Jeddah.
Yeah, we need to bring
Jeddah
him to the
Nights
company because
track,
the tracks, they look too much
Mhm.
the
So the Tuka dynasty
Yeah.
will continue.
yeah, exactly.
same. So it was actually, he joined F1 in 2009. The area includes a marina, the Ferrari theme park, a water park, a shopping center, golf course, and hotels. This all, by the way, developed in a man-made island. Like
That's insane.
our good friend Wellington has been there. So the track capacity is 6,000 people. The tickets do sell out and they're super expensive. Yeah. Last year, because our schedule was actually brought down so far out in the can, making it the latest date on which a season closing Grand Prix has been held. It was also held behind closed doors. Last year was the first time since 2014 that a non-Mercedes car was on pole. Unique feature of the track is the tunnel by the pits.
Mm-hmm.
Who was on pole, Max?
Yes. Yeah, and to the Mexico GP this year, this track was the only track that was named after a host city. Obviously, now the Mexico Grand Prix.
Mexico City.
Highlights is home. It was home to the duel in the desert in 2014, which also happened again. You could say closely in 2016.
Yeah.
In 2014 was double points were awarded at the last race, so something to become a
failed
success.
experiment.
Yeah. That was. Oh, imagine they did. Well, it doesn't matter this year.
Yeah.
Obviously, Kimi saying that he's famous. I'll do it now. And the 2010 about the 4-3, and the most successful driver here is Hamilton with 5 wins. Most successful constructor here is Mercedes with 6 wins.
Okay.
They say it's a Red Bull track.
So, as you said a couple of weeks ago, there's no more so and so.
No, not at all.
So, doesn't matter who wins the championship.
Hamilton.
Hamilton.
I think Hamilton.
I think Hamilton won in Brazil. That's how far back I think he won the championship. When he woke up in Brazil, they won the championship.
It was over.
Hamilton is on one of his runs that he usually goes on right after the summer break. This year came on a little bit later, obviously, but right now he's unstoppable.
And this weekend, Max tirade demonstrated that they win in the championship
Yeah, absolutely. I
by
think
showing
that,
that little spark of weakness.
I think that they need to close a bunch of loopholes going forward because
Yes.
this doesn't happen if they don't replace all the ICEs,
Fire mice.
Yeah. all the internal combustion engines. Like,
Mhm.
I think it took away a lot of the potential drama that. Well, I mean, whatever. We're tied going in, but like, I feel like it's just academic at this point. At the end of the season,
I mean,
cars too fast.
yeah.
And they also showed
but-
that the Mercedes did it so strategically as well because they just kept changing the internal combustion aspect
Of the
Remember-
second driver.
of the second driver and and Hamilton as well. But remember when Red Bull did their changes, they did the whole thing. So he went back all the way to 20th. Mercedes just did it, like in little chips. They didn't go all the way to the
Man,
back.
but all right, all right, that could be a criticism, but also remember that this run of victories by Lewis Hamilton was sparked by all of those penalties in Brazil. Him coming back in the sprint race
Yes.
up to 10th, coming up to 5th, starting 10th, winning the race. Ever since then, it's been all Mercedes.
Well,
and it's because Lewis Hamilton said, come here, guys, let's go.
Yeah, because why did he get the grid penalties and all that stuff? Because he new engine.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that it's all
I like how
everybody's playing by the same rules, man. And Mercedes did it better. They're a championship team. They know how to win. Listen, kudos to them.
The
man.
last stab was Hamilton deflating their.
Kudos to them. But at the same time, even like that, with the engine changes, he changes engines I don't know how many times, and still to come back like he did in Brazil, and then winning the next subsequently winning the next two races. I mean,
Another one.
Well deserved, man.
Will Kim be up to doing donuts at the end because as the retirement of
that'll
Alonso?
be-
That would be awesome.
I think that'll be great. I
All
think
right,
that'll
guys,
be really
at Jump
cool.
to Start F1, Instagram, Twitter,
Wellington's losing power.
leave us a review, like, comment, subscribe. YouTube at Jump to Start Racing
Because
Podcast.
MGUK just went out.
Yep.
on him.
And Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart Radio, TuneIn, and Stitcher. Subscribe, leave a review.
Do
you
not
guys later.
miss this next race. Peace.